So the super hyped Nothing Phone 1 has finally launched in the EU at about 470 euros at the moment. The price, I think, should be a little bit lower, but, you know, supply and demand be doing what supply and demand do. So first of all, before we go into some quick, nice specs, this phone has been very hyped over the past few months, you know, and the big reason behind that is because the company behind it, Nothing, has been founded by the former OnePlus chief, Carl Pei. So, you know, perhaps we are getting some glimpses, some flashes back from the days when OnePlus was the flagship killer with their monstrous specs at a crazy competitive price, you know. So that is why the phone has received a lot of attention, and I, for one, am very happy that a phone in this price range is getting so much attention, because, you know, I think the 400 to 600 dollar price range, that's really that's kind of where I want phones to be. You know, phones are just, I don't know, they're so expensive these. Anyways, let's go right into the specs. So first thing that you might notice is that it's not running the flagship type of processor. So it's running Snapdragon's pretty new 778G plus CPU. So if you're a mobile gamer, this is probably not a phone for you. You know, these chips are, you know, more designed towards being able to bring the cost of the device down and also being more power efficient, not having so much heat output. So it has a mid-range processor. You know, it is what it is. If you don't play games, it's probably fine. Then, you know, has a pretty standard display, OLED, 120 Hz. It does have an under-display fingerprint sensor, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome. And it does only have IP50 free resistance rating, so that is only splashes of water and dust. So, you know, don't submerge this phone. It's probably not gonna end so well. Now, another striking thing about this phone is its appearance. Obviously, they have the whole see-through design, which is pretty cool, and they have a lot of LEDs on the back here and stuff. Now, this is, you know, it is really cool, but, you know, the thing with phones is most of the time you're just gonna, you know, slap a case on the back of it, you know. So this is my Samsung Galaxy S9, S8, sorry, S8, not, let's not get too crazy with the S8. This is an S8, it's a very, it's quite an old phone at this point, and, you know, if I didn't have cases on it the entire time I was using it, I probably wouldn't be using it anymore because it would be broken. Because who in the right minds, you know, uses a phone without a case? You know, well, people that, you know, change phones on a regular basis, I guess. That would make sense. But yeah, you know, I mean, it definitely has a very striking appearance, but, you know, obviously putting these LEDs into the phone, making this see-through and all nice, you know, obviously this costs money, and this is something that the majority of users will probably just slap a case on the back of, you know. So there's that. It doesn't have a card slot because no phone anymore has a card slot, because everything's pretty sad. It goes up to 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. It is UFS 3.1 storage, so all pretty good, all pretty standard. 4K up to 30 FPS. What's the battery? 4500 milliamp hour battery. Display 6.5 inches, pretty gigantic. I didn't know it was that big. I thought it was smaller, actually. But yeah, these are all the main specs of the phone. It's not, you know, the thing is, it's not really something super revolutionary. You know, like, the specs are pretty normal specs. There's nothing like, what here, you know. But, you know, the reason why this phone has been in the news and why I'm talking about it right now, it's because it's been super hyped once again. And, you know, I, for one, really like that a phone it costs this much is getting so much attention. You know, I would really love for the phones to return to this sort of a market and try to do the best they can, you know. I mean, so that's me anyways, you know. Hopefully, you know, it works out. The phone is just launched, you know, and it's pretty exciting. We have the OG flagship killer guy with a company again, you know, because OnePlus over the past few years has not had as great of deals as they've had in the past, you know. I hear that their software has also been lacking a little bit. So hey, maybe we get a OnePlus 2.0. You know, like I'd be interested to see how much more expensive a phone like this would be if they added the top tier chipset to it, if they perhaps added some more storage or just a card slot, and then they just removed, you know, all the LEDs, and so they just wouldn't have to bother with all that. I'd be really interested in what price point they could get something like this at, because yeah, the flagship killers really cool. And yeah, hope everything works out with the phone.